Something you don't really ever see in NASCAR too often is drivers either giving up or having to get out of the car due to a medical issue. And in NASCAR, we have seen this from time to time, but it's been very, very rare that in the middle of a race, there's been a driver swap. So let's take a look at some of these moments. In 2007, Kyle Busch, who was rumored to be leaving Hendrick Motorsports, was involved in a crash early on in the race. His team was actually able to repair the race car before the race ended to get him back out there to gain some points and just some more driving experience with their car. But unfortunately, Kyle Busch had already got on a plane and left Texas. He was out of the state by the time they did this. And Dale Jr., who was also caught up in a similar accident, was unable to race his car. So Hendrick Motorsports asked Dale Jr. to fill in for Kyle Busch as Busch was unable to race. And ironically, maybe not ironically, but Dale Jr. ended up driving for Hendrick Motorsports just 1 year later.
Here's one for the, you won't believe this. The 5 car is back on track after being involved in that crash. The driver is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's interesting.
I couldn't even hardly steer it back to the garage area. Got it back and couldn't turn it into my own garage stall. So I went ahead and, came over the radio, told everybody I think this, loaded up, this thing's done. And didn't hear a, confrontation from that. So I just figured they were just going to work on it, load it up. But, I was in a great deal of discomfort. Felt like I got pretty much beat up from 2 pretty heavy crashes over the weekend. So I was changing my clothes. Nobody came in and discussed anything with me, so I just went back to my motorhome and loaded up and headed to the airport.
Continuing off of Kyle Busch, he rage quit basically in real life. He got wrecked, and instead of wanting to go to the garage area and get it fixed, he immediately drove into the garage area, ran over cones, almost people, got out of his race car, and went to the hauler. He was furious. And after all of this was said and done, NASCAR actually penalized Busch for his actions. He almost injured multiple people and was dangerously driving on pit road before that. NASCAR handed down a points penalty and a fine to Busch.
Let's take a look. He's on the outside of Austin Dillon. There's contact in turn 2.
That's just what you and Jeff Burton were just talking about, that the drivers not in the playoffs, they're still here to race. That's the thing that separates, but how do you race around those guys that are in the playoffs?
Yeah, and we were just talking about give and take, give and take. That was a little bit too much take and not enough give at that point in time.
Frustrated by that just alone, and now parked in the garage for the night.
Yeah, he's going to probably put himself in a must-win situation here, maybe. And he's going to 2 great tracks for him, at Richmond, where he's won a number of times, and also at Bristol. But there's no guarantees, so certainly a setback for him.
No, we talk about this all the time. If you come out of the first race of any round, it's almost a must-win in the second race or the third race to move to the next round.
There will never be another driver like Tony Stewart, and it was so hilarious to hear him say, I basically wasn't having fun out there, I sucked, and I wanted to leave. And that's what he did at Richmond.
Just run around a bunch of hacks out there. It's not worth destroying Delana and Kevin's car. I mean, the guys out there, you got guys like David Green, who's won Busch championships, and I like him. I like Ashton Lewis. He ran over us once, so I give him the same business, and that's why we spun. I did it to myself. I was the cause of that problem, but just getting tired of getting run into by a bunch of guys that really don't know what they're doing. So it's just Richmond. They're all out there fighting for spots just like we are. They got every right to race hard. So just not a fun night. When your car's not driving good anyway, and then you're racing with guys in the mid-pack or back of the pack like that, it makes for an ill night. And I just said, before we destroy this thing, I'm just going to park it. I've had all the fun I can stand for one night.
Come on, Clint!
Oh.
God!
He's still down there. Still there. Yep, he just came up and wrecked the hell out of you again on purpose.
Y'all have it going.
Back block.
That's it. That's why I don't take this shit serious.
Sorry, Tyler. Just trying to talk to you there.
Peace out!
COVID was such a weird time for NASCAR. They were holding races online on live TV. It was so weird. But in that shenanigans, Bubba Wallace actually rage quit an iRacing race, and fine, right? Everybody quits video games. But his sponsor actually left him because of this. Bubba Wallace actually lost his sponsor because of this, and it wasn't a sponsor in a video game. It was his real life sponsor that he would race in the Cup Series.
Interesting turn of events. Under the red flag, the 18 of Kyle Busch, he decided that he wasn't going to sit there on the track anymore. He was 3 laps down.
and he decided, I'll just bring it into the garage. So he turned around and went backwards down pit road, pulled it into the garage, and now he's out of the car, and he'll be watching the end of this race.
He can't gain or lose, so get out of town. We talked about the hot day. Kyle Busch, he got out of his race car. Well, look how warm it is, 116 degrees now with no air movement.
This wasn't more of an I quit. It was basically like, I just don't care anymore, and if my car gets wrecked and I can't race, so be it. And this is what Kyle Busch did in the 2011 Texas race in the Truck Series. He got bumped into the wall by Ron Hornaday, who was competing for a championship that year, and he let his anger take the best of him. And he took himself out and Ron Hornaday out so early on in the race to prove how mad he was at Hornaday and to pay him back.
Right now the caution is already out.
A little bit more damage on Ron Hornaday's truck. Very minimal damage to that 18 truck, but this is when he's going to show his displeasure to Ron Hornaday. He gets up against him and he just won't never turn him loose, Mikey.
He's running wide open in the back of that truck and he finally turns him head on into that outside wall.
I don't think NASCAR is going to, I think this goes beyond a little bit of have at it, boys.
Oh, it's definitely way past that. That truck's running 130, 40 miles an hour when it hits that outside wall.
Look at that thing jump up off the ground. Look at all the damage to that 33 truck.
Later parts of the season, teams always bring extra parts, spare things, but this hit is so massive that the front clip has to be bent. Everything underneath that hood damaged beyond repair.
He's out. He may get back on the racetrack and gain 2 or 3 positions.
I don't think he's going to do that, Phil.
I think that truck's probably ruined.
This is by far the most wildest story we probably have ever had in NASCAR. Mark Martin, who was racing in the NASCAR Grand National Series at the time, who was dominating week in and week out, thought he had won Bristol. There was apparently one more lap to go, and Martin didn't know it. So he put his window net down and pulled into pit road, saluted the fans like he won. Unfortunately, he basically forfeited the win and forfeited a great finishing position because he thought the race was over.
And this is live. So Sauter has just now wrecked Austin Hill. Well, that's not going to go over well.
No, I think they'll park Sauter for that.
Yes, indeed. So here is Sauter coming back to get Hill after Hill had moved Johnny and put Johnny into the wall.
I think
Johnny Sauter's day is done.
Well, then David Green was winning this race.
David Green is going to win the race as Mark Martin has pulled down pit road.
I don't believe it. Have you ever seen a situation? I mean, the white flag was waving so clearly.
That's Christian Lovendahl, one of the Roush members, and John Kernan has been looking for Mark Martin. John?
Well, I caught up with him. Mark is changing to his Valvoline Winston Cup suit, tying his shoe there, and Mark, I tell you, I've never seen anything like that. I guess, well, Kel Yarborough back when Richard Petty won his 200th, but he was in second at that point. What happened?
I can't believe anybody else would be that stupid.
So what when...
Hey, listen, man, I've been pulling for David Green to win really hard, but that's not like that. That's the stupidest thing ever done. There's nothing else I can say. I thought the race was over. Those guys pulled up beside of me waving, and I swear I thought I saw Houston come down pit road. I thought it was over.
Dinner will be ready at 5.
We have talked about some drivers rage quitting, some drivers getting penalized, but now let's talk about maybe an injury. This necessarily wasn't an injury, but more of exhaustion. Kevin Harvick had ran the Busch Series race the day prior, and he was running the Sharpie 500 at Bristol. 500 miles the day after that had to have been exhausting for Kevin Harvick, and it became too much for him, as his body couldn't handle it and he had to get out of the race car. Harvick was unable to complete the race, and Kyle Petty, who had already been in the race previously, who had gotten wrecked out, filled in for him.
Dale Jarrett did not stop Dave. Kevin Harvick coming down to attention of his pit.
And once again, Kyle Petty, whose 45 car is out of this race, wrecked earlier, has been called to replace Kevin in the cockpit. They're about the same size height, while Kyle may be a little bit taller, and hopefully able to overcome that right shoulder situation that Kevin was having. Get his right arm falling asleep. They know they have to get someone in there, so they'll pull Kevin out, and they'll put Kyle Petty in the 29 car.
Yeah, because of this. So big turn there for some of the drivers in the race to the chase in the late stages here at Bristol tonight. Relief drivers used to be not an uncommon thing here at Bristol, right? BP?
Oh, no. I came here with John A. Esman about every time I came in the 70s. I finally figured out how to hold my head up, and it was okay after that. But
he actually won a race with a relief driver here, right?
Yeah. John A. and I won the race by 7 laps.
So Harvick getting attention for the numb left arm.
Come out. Look at this. What an exit. Wave and see you later.
The fans like exploded, so I turned around and waved back to them too, and I think that escalated the situation pretty big.
The driver, owner, and crew chief of the 92 need to meet in the Xfinity hauler post-race.
Once you get to the hauler, you're basically sitting there for the next 3 hours, give or take.
It was a long time.
What's going through your mind?
Whenever I walked in there and they wouldn't let me change, they wouldn't let me have my backpack, they wouldn't let me have anything, or my phone or anything like that, and I knew I was like, oh, I'm in trouble.
The checker flag comes out, Wayne comes to see you. What do you say in that moment?
I mean, I was super frustrated, and I knew we were going to have a good day minus the damage. You know, we could have survived to the end, and as long as we didn't get a wreck at the end of the race, we still would have finished, you know, top 10, top 15. I mean, part of me is like, man, I just want to tell them that I think this is a bad call, and the other part's like, I'm just going to let them talk, tell me what they want to tell me, and that's the approach I took.
Josh Williams, who's an Xfinity Series regular, who's honestly one of the best underdogs we have in NASCAR. But he recently got a more top-tier ride, but that story is for another time. But he actually rage quit in the middle of a race after NASCAR told him, park it, you're done. So what did he do? He did that. He parked it on the front stretch at Atlanta Motor Speedway, right in front of the crowd, got out, and walked away. This definitely didn't sit well with NASCAR as they penalized him, but honestly, it was pretty hilarious, and Josh Williams deserves an amazing award for this because it was perfect.
And half a second, and the 99 has turned over Brad Keselowski, and we have a caution.
My goodness. I don't know if I'm okay.
Keselowski was on track for a 6th place finish.
Clean here, clean here. Just slight contact.
Oh,
look at that thing go.
That looks so much like Edwards' turnover at Talladega off the bumper of Keselowski.
It really did, and I'm so wondering and hoping that when they put the spoiler back on these cars, they'll quit turning over like this.
Keselowski's put the window net down.
The roof flaps deployed, but it did not sit that car back down. I'm like you, Daryl. I'm going to be so glad to see that rear spoiler back on these cars.
If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. Also, if you've liked this video, I'm pretty sure these videos will catch your eye also.